Welcome to Chris and Kat's house. We're here on Wajak Noongar land and the lovely Perth Hills, Kalamunda, and I'm here to tell you about my consistently more sustainable house than it was last time. I'll walk you through it. Doing our best to plant up the front of the house with as many native plants as we can. It's going to look pretty nice once all this grows up and provides a bit of privacy to our patio. This patio was constructed primarily to keep the inverter and battery dry, but it's also a pretty convenient place to entertain. It's certainly nice on sunny winter's days, but it can get a bit hot in the summer. That western sun ends up being pretty intense, but it's not too bad for only part of the day. I guess at the heart of our sustainable house is our solar and energy storage system. We have a good wee hybrid inverter. It collects sunshine and is able to charge the battery. The battery is a lithium iron phosphate 48 volt system. These are large format lithium iron phosphate cells that we saved from going to the bottom of Port Phillip Bay. We tested and sorted them and they do really well. So yeah, we find that we've got more than enough energy stored for about 9 or 10 months of the year, and it's really only in winter, the depths of winter, that we need to lean on the grid. But basically that charges by day, and when the battery's full, the inverter diverts energy out to the street, so other people in our street can enjoy solar energy. Most of the heating and cooling we do in the house is with this ducted reverse cycle air conditioning system. We don't use it a great deal through summer, but we use it a lot through winter for heating, and it's surprisingly efficient, but our house needs more work to prevent it from leaking out the windows and the doors. We'll get to that in a bit. The house has a roughly 7 kilowatt solar system, split east and west. You can see the sun is lighting up the western array right now. It's been working very well, but the magnificent Marri tree to the north of the house does shade it a bit through winter. Hence we're not doing so well through winter. For at least 9 months of the year we're on top. This is our Medea heat pump hot water system. It's very effective at taking solar energy, and not very much of it, and turning it into hot water. It's a 310 litre tank. We had it installed by a local firm. Greg was the installer. I'll put the link up in the video of how you can get onto him. But it's been very good. Never a shortage of hot water. Here in the carport, ordinarily we would have our Hyundai Ioniq parked here, but instead I've got our old petrol burning Honda, which the intention is to convert to electric one day soon. The car's just elsewhere at the moment, but this is the charging station. It's an open EVSE, which is a very solid product. You can buy and assemble yourself, put a plug on it, and the joy of putting the plug on it is that I can take it with me wherever I go, including out into the West Australian countryside where 3-phase 32 amp sockets are common. And we just program that so that it either charges after midnight or whenever the sun's shining. Now, as this is the very last day of July, I'd just like to focus on our rain gauge. Perth has had an extraordinarily wet July, and the garden's just ready to get planted. It's still a bit too cold to be planting anything for the spring garden, but we make our own compost in that vacancy you see at the back there. We've got an automatic irrigation system, so we don't need to stand around every morning watering the garden, but our septic system provides us with plenty of green grass that we mow and compost and turn it into food for our plants. So we'll be planting this up probably at the end of September, and typically grow things that are high value, not things that you can buy for not very many cents per tonne. things like tomatoes and capsicums and things that you like to grow fresh, and end up being a bit expensive too. This is my shed. Yes, it's a magnificent shed. It's 11.5 meters by 7.5 meters, and I'll show you inside there with some projects I've got going. Well, of course, inside a shed it's full of junk, lots of different projects on the go at the same time. This is Voltron Evo, Australia's fastest electric motorcycle. It's in need of a new battery, but we've had some good times on that, and you can look at the YouTube videos on my channel if you want. But 0 to 100 in 7.5 seconds. So yeah, I build EVs. That's one of the many things that I do in my shed. Got a lot of different interests, but the installation of this hoist has allowed me to work on electric vehicles. I can either service custom built ones, or just recently I converted a Honda Prelude to electric. Thankfully it's going really well. But as my electric scooter, it's done 30,000 kilometers in the last few years and never missed a beat. So that's, to me, the epitome of sustainable transport right there. Of course, the bicycle at the back too, but we do live at the top of a very steep hill. One of the joys of having a large shed is that you can collect vast quantities of rainwater from it. This rainwater tank was installed in May and it was full probably halfway through July. That's 32,000 litres. So what I'll be doing is plumbing that, the taps around the other side, and running a probably 1.5 inch poly pipe all the way up the fence line and up to the house, where I'll probably install a surge tank so that we can collect additional water off the roof of the house as well. And we'll use that to supply the gardens primarily, but we may eventually plumb it into the house so that we can use it to flush toilets or supply the laundry. Eventually we'll run grey water out to fruit trees down the side. This side garden next to the western fence is basically going to be our orchard. Of course it doesn't look like an orchard now, but these things take time. Everything's a work in progress. Here on the eastern side of the house, we've got our neighbour's row of acacias which provide lovely shade through summer, but it does make the place rather dark through winter. We have gas bottles that simply run the stove top, so we cook on gas, but for everything else it's electric. We use one cylinder a year, maybe every 18 months. Windows is our next big job. These are just standard issue 40-year-old aluminium frame single pane windows, and we'd like to eventually swap them out for something double glazed, or at least a little more efficient. I think we lose too much heat through our windows, so I'll be seeking advice from the sustainability community on what to do about how to keep more of our heat inside the house through winter. It's pretty good in summer. We've got a pretty cool house through summer, but it is cold in winter. Yes, Perth does get cold. Not for long, but it does get cold. So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed my quick tour of our ever increasingly more sustainable home. Cheers.